Hello, welcome to our volunteering information session. I'm Claire Roberts and the Volunteer Centre Coordinator at Salford CBS.
And I'm Grace Kennedy, and I'm the volunteering development worker at Salford CBS.
Okay, so today this is what we're going to run through in our short session. We'll tell you a little bit more about the Volunteer Centre and our service and how we can help you. We'll go through some of the benefits of volunteering, what you can expect from volunteering, and then we'll give you our contact details so that if you do have any questions or anything, you can get in touch with us.
Yeah, brilliant. So what is volunteering? I'm sure many of you will have heard, what volunteering is, and some of you might have even done some volunteering. But basically, it's about making a difference which benefits someone or something outside of your family, such as in your city, in your local community, or even in your neighbourhood. It's about spending unpaid time doing something to benefit others. And helping close friends or families isn't actually volunteering, although you might want to help them out.
Yeah, we still encourage that as well.
Yeah. But that's for the sake of sort of this presentation.
Yes.
That's not what we categorise as volunteering. And volunteering can actually take place in many forms, and it can take place in all areas of societies as well. It can take place in fields, streets, rivers, hills, hospitals, and even you can volunteer in prisons.
Lots of different settings.
So volunteering can be formal and organised by organisations, or it can actually be informal within smaller groups and communities. But it always should be a free choice, and it should be made by the person who is actually giving up their time. And there are thousands of people, organisations and communities that can actually benefit from your involvement. So you can do things like education, sports, first aid, environment, politics, social welfare, heritage, and the arts. So there's a lot of volunteering that could potentially align with some of the courses that you're doing at university. And you could even do some of your research and align it with a charity. So you get lots of data from that charity, and the charity actually in return gets they get some impact from you, so they get something that they can use to help with their funding. There's actually a benefit to both the organisation and yourself.
And it's also very flexible, so when you think about how much time you need to give to volunteering, well, it can be flexible. Some people do things as a one-off, so they might help out at an event for half a day or a day, and then that's it. Or they might do something for a couple of hours every week. So it's important to just think about, what time have you got? You don't want it to impact your studies. You want it to enhance what you're doing. So think about the time you've got and whether you're more interested in doing some one-off opportunities or maybe something a bit more longer term.
Yeah. And also keep in mind that volunteering should be a good experience.
Yeah, definitely.
Because if you don't like it, you're giving up your free time. So it should be a good and positive experience.
And if you do go to an organisation and the opportunity isn't quite for you, it isn't what you thought it would be, that's fine. You don't have to go into that opportunity week after week. Have a chat with us. We can find you something different. That's absolutely fine, because like Grace said, it is a free choice. It should be fun. So bear that in mind.
Definitely.
Okay, so we'll just look at some of the differences between volunteering and paid employment. So volunteering, as we said, it's freely chosen. It is unpaid, but although it's unpaid, if you're incurring expenses as part of your volunteering, so maybe if you've got to travel to the place that you volunteer and you're paying bus fare, for example, then you should get that money back. So organisations should cover any out-of-pocket expenses. Or if, for example, you need a DBS check in order to do the role that you're volunteering in, the organisation covers all those costs as well. Or if you need a uniform or anything like that, you shouldn't have to pay for anything to take part in volunteering. And it's open to everyone. So as we said, there's loads of different opportunities. So hopefully there should be something that matches your sort of skills and interests or what you want to get from it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so with employment, obviously that's paid. It's governed by laws and regulations, employee regulations and that sort of thing. It's driven by different motivations and it is contractual. Okay. And then some of the similarities between volunteering and paid work. So both require good timekeeping. So if you agree to do a volunteer role where you say you'll be there every Wednesday at 4:00, for example, then it's important that you keep to that. Obviously, if something comes up, if you're not well or if you've got holidays and things like that, or your workload's heavy and you need some time out, all that is absolutely fine. But it's just about informing the organisation where you are volunteering so that they can get cover, because with some opportunities, they are relying on that sort of one volunteer. It depends what role you're doing, but it's just important to let them know and then they're kept up to date with what's happening.
Absolutely. Good communication.
Yeah.
And
like you say, if you do volunteer for somewhere sort of week in, week out, but then you've got exams coming up or something and you need to take some time out for a few weeks, that's absolutely fine. But again, it goes back to that communication. Just let them know volunteering is flexible. There's no contract like there is with paid work or anything like that. So just bear that in mind. So with both volunteering and paid work, both can improve our lives, health and prospects. You get better contact with other people. So I guess it depends what jobs and volunteer roles you're doing, but with a lot of volunteer roles, it is about being in contact with other people, either other volunteers or clients and that type of thing. So it does give you that interaction, I suppose.
Yeah.
And as we've said, it's both ask us to be reliable. So it's just about, if you say you're going to be somewhere at a certain time on a certain day, just making sure that you are, unless something comes up and then it's just letting the organisation know.
Yeah.
And then both allow us to gain new skills. So you can use skills you've already got, but also you can learn new skills through both volunteering and paid employment.
Yeah. So just to go through what we do at the Volunteer Centre. So we support people who want to volunteer, and we do that through a couple of different ways. So we have a dedicated online volunteering portal, which we've got probably over 100 volunteer roles on there. You can go onto the portal, have a look at the role. And then if you want more information, you'll have to register with the actual portal. And then we also can do face-to-face meetings. If you can't find anything actually on the volunteering portal, we're happy to meet you in person, or we could do it over the phone. We can do it on a Teams call. We're pretty flexible.
Yeah.
And we can meet up for an hour. And we can talk through what your interests are, sort of what you want to get out of it, what your goals are. And then once sort of you've decided what you would like to do, if anything, we then go away and contact the organisation on your behalf. And, if you sort of be struggling to, sort of fill in application forms or you need any other additional support, Claire and I would, are happy to help you. Alongside that, we also support organisations who involve volunteering. So we do have quite a lot of contacts within the Salford community. So if there isn't roles on the portal that you'd like to do, we do have other contacts, and there are other more informal roles within groups that out in Salford that we can connect you with.
Yeah. So just to say, we're based at the Old Town Hall in Eccles. So we can, if you did want a meeting with us one-to-one, you can come here. We can arrange, you need to arrange the appointment with us, or we can come and meet you closer to where you live. So in one of the local gateways or something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we're going to look at some of the reasons why people volunteer. What are the motivations? What are some of the benefits and the reasons why, people volunteer, why they enjoy it and what they get out of it. So we're going to show you a short video. Okay, so yeah, those are some of the benefits and the reasons why people volunteer. And just to list a few more, so in fact, some of these were covered in that. But yeah, meeting people, like we said before, it's a good way to meet other people in your community and meet a diverse, range of people. Gaining skills and experience, so it can really enhance your studies and maybe what you want to do in the future. You learning new skills and putting those into practice, I suppose, and getting experience and trying out different things to see what it is you like. It's a way of getting references as well. So once you've volunteered somewhere for a certain amount of time, a few months or so, that organisation is usually happy to provide references for any other sort of paid jobs that you want to do, or any other volunteer roles, that sort of thing. So it's quite good in that way as well. So it improves your CV. It's something to put on application forms. It's something to talk about in interviews as well. So it's good from that point of view. Like Grace said earlier, it's an opportunity for research. If that's something that you're doing as part of your course, then it's useful for that as well. Sharing skills and experience that you've already got, it's a good way to do that. And then improved well-being, so both physical and mental well-being, volunteering is proven to be good for that. So
yeah. And some of the roles we've got, if you're doing like some sort of a health related degree or course, there's opportunities, things like at Salford Royal that you can connect with, or in smaller groups like Salford Heart Care.
Yeah.
So there's always something that could potentially align with your course or your degree. Or as I say, there's other stuff that if you wanted to do something completely different.
Yeah, definitely.
So we're just going to have a quick chat about what the stages of the volunteer journey are, and it does depend from organisation to organisation. If it's a less formal role and it's just a small group that you're going for a short period of time, it's probably more likely going to be sort of like having a chat and just a short interview and then you get stuck in. But there are some roles that are more formal and probably have, where they are involved maybe children or vulnerable adults that might be have a more formalized structure where it comes to recruitment. So usually it's where the organisation sort of like promotes their role. It can be sort of on our portal, or we might sort of see it on maybe some social media. And as I said before, depending on the role, you might have to fill in an application form. Now, some might have a very short one-page one, others might like sort of a little bit more information from you. And then again, the interview might be formal depending on the role, or it might be a quick chat and over a brew. And then sort of once you both agree, that you'd like to take that role forward, it's equally, you have to be happy that that's what you want to do. And that interview is an opportunity for you to ask those questions and get a sense and a feel for the role that you're applying for. And then usually after that, the organisation will get some references from you. Normally those could be somebody that you, maybe a tutor or sort of another role that you're doing, or maybe you've been doing some paid work. And it can be also, for many people, it can be a friend, or, a family friend, that has known you sort of for quite a while, who could give you a character reference. But I sort of like, we don't usually have references from family members. Most organisations wouldn't accept that. But having said that, we would never want not being able to provide a reference to be a barrier. So it's always worth maybe getting in touch with the organisation and talking through that if you're not sure. Like Claire mentioned earlier, some organisations might need a DBS check. So this would come at that stage when they're still gathering the application form and the references. And then once everything's been sorted, you'll probably have some sort of induction. It could be a very informal induction, but it's where you'll learn about the organisation. You might have to read through some policies and procedures, and you might even have to do a bit of online training. And then normally there's a trial period where you sort of like get to know the organisation, get a feel for the role, they get to know you. And they usually, or the organisation will offer some ongoing training, whether it's actually the role related, or whether it's some sort of personal development that you want to do. And as Claire mentioned before, organisations should offer expenses, particularly for travel. If you're having to pay to get to the role, then you should be able to claim those travel expenses back. And then often organisations, if you've been there for a bit, they like to recognise the value in the work that you're bringing to that organisation. And that could be, in the form of a certificate, sort of maybe a card or a thank you. And generally once a year, organisations like to celebrate their volunteers during volunteer work a week in June. And they may even be able to put on a little bit of an event and invite you to that and celebrate the work that you've been doing. And then obviously sort of there might be time, after a while, whether it's a few weeks or maybe even if it's a few years, there'll be a time when you want to move on, and at that point the organisation will obviously meet with you and have a chat with you, and then you'll exit the organisation. So that's normally what the volunteering journey involves. So have you got anything to add there?
Just that, when you're sort of applying for a role or at any stage of the process, really, if you are not sure of something or you need any help with anything, or you've got any questions, you can come to us and ask as well. Yeah. So if there's anything you're not sure of, do contact us. We'll put our contact details up in a minute, but you can email us or phone us and we can help with any sort of stage of that process, really. Yeah. And like Grace said, this is sort of all the different stages in an organisation that might happen, but some organisations might just do a few of those steps, if it's something a bit more informal. And like we said, it is a two-way process, so it's as much about you, when you go to an organisation, you get a feel for it and you can see it and you think, is it a place that you want to volunteer? When you get to hear more about the opportunity, it's not all sort of one-sided about them sort of seeing if you'd fit in with the organisation. It's very much about you seeing if it's the right opportunity for you. And it's not like sort of when you go for a job interview, usually you go for a job interview and it's probably for one job and there might be however many number of people applying for that one job. But with volunteering and volunteer opportunities, it doesn't have that same sort of competitiveness, if you like, because a volunteer role, they might take on, they might have 60 odd volunteers across the week helping, and they're always sort of needing more volunteers to help out and to cover the service that they're offering. So, organisations want volunteers. They want, people who are interested to contact them and to get in touch. So it doesn't have that sort of...
you don't need to be afraid.
Yeah, you don't need to be worried and in that way. And it is more, although they might call it an interview, it's not sort of a very formal interview like when you go for a job. It's more informal than that. And it's just about having a chat, them meeting you and finding out more about you and you finding out about them. So don't be put off by any, of that
terminology.
Really.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks, Claire.
So, like we said before, if you've got any questions, please do get in touch with us. Whether it's about if you're applying for volunteering already and you need some help, get in touch with us about that. If you want help using the volunteering portal, which is on our website, get in touch with us about that. Or if you'd prefer to meet with us one-to-one. So we'll just put our contact details on.
Yeah, and we'll leave them for sort of like a few little bits so you can but we will be circulating this, so you'll have the opportunity to take down and note down those details.
Yeah, so just phone us, email us. That's our website address. We're on social media as well, so there's some of our contact details on there as well. So get in touch, and we look forward to meeting some of you in the future.
Thank you. Thanks for watching.